So when you work in like a corporate setting, or you work like, for like a big company, and you get like, your standard issued laptop, right? You're going to get your laptop, it's going to look like everybody else's for the most part. Um, Everybody pretty much has the same laptop or desktop configuration based upon the role that they've been assigned, what they're going to do at the company. Your people who are in software development may get a machine with more memory than a person who, let's say, that their primary function is customer service, right? They don't need to do coding or anything of that nature. They need to just run the application. But it's certain applications that's going to be run, that's going to be accessible from certain machines based upon the role that they're put into, right? And what it is basically is the infrastructure, the overall enterprise infrastructure of information technology says, okay, well, associate A, you're in customer service, so you get this set of applications. You're able to do this set of things with your machine. Okay, associate B, you're in IT. I'm not saying IT is in, somebody that has a computer issue and they fix and, they replace hard drives and that. No, I'm talking about the IT, whereas you're in software development. The enterprise, the company you work for has different software packages that are used by people in customer service, where those applications have to be maintained, right? Those applications have to be enhanced as the business, as the corporation you work for, matures and advances, so does the technology that they use. So you got people over here, you got associate B over here, employee B over here, that's part of the team that does the software development. Well, you get a souped up laptop because it has to be super fast. It has to respond when you're coding, and it has to be able to run certain programs that have more um, more memory needs to be able to run, right? So they get their laptop, but it may have, more hard drive space. It may have more RAM. It may have, you know, um, more software, more programs that it's accessible to. Here's how all of this ties into the meat suit, and the construct that we're in. When we come here, and I'm going to delineate between souls that incarnate into human flesh and human flesh that's controlled, that are non-playable characters, that aren't player one. You have player one, and then you have non-playable characters that player one will interact with. All right. So let's call, and it's not to say one is greater than the other, because they both are necessary. But there's a catch. So player one has the soul, has the control, gets the laptop. They get a laptop with programming. The non-playable character, they get the laptop, but they don't get programming. They get programs. Because non-playable characters can only at any time run a program that's given to them, whereas the soul is a creator. So the soul has the ability to create, to develop, to do as it sees fit for the sole purpose of evolution. So let's take the example of employee A and employee B. Employee A has only a set of programs that he or she can access on a daily basis. That's it. There's not going to be anything more than that. They may not want, they have no desire to do anything with changing the program. They just want to run what's there, and they're on a set of programs that they have access to, but they have no desire to evolve. They don't have a conversation with anyone about evolving any of the technology. They don't have a conversation with anybody about anything. They come in, they do the job, they drink the same cup of coffee every day, they keep it pushing. Non-playable character. Employee B has the ability to create the program, has the ability to enhance the program, to change the program. Those are the people who have a higher self to confer with. Those are the people, those are the souls. Those are the beings with souls. A being with a soul has a higher self that can be connected with to say, hey, before you make this decision, let's talk about it internally. A person with a soul can internalize a conversation and keep a decision internal and can evaluate that decision as they go along. A non-playable character is given that decision because they don't have an option and they go with it, but they go with it as if that was the best decision. That was the only decision that they had. And you'll see people, well, that's the only thing I could do. That's the only thing I could do. That's the only thing that I could do. Because they only have a certain set of programs. They're not able to connect to a higher power because there's no higher power there. There's no higher source there. Those are a lot of people who if you look at like religious sets, oh, well, the Bible says this, the Quran says this. There's no thinking outside of the box because they don't have that higher self that's telling them, do your research. These are the people that watch a 5-minute video and they know everything, as opposed to watching a 5-minute video and then they go and they watch an hour and 40-minute video afterwards on the topic because they want to explore more because the higher self has told them there's more. The thing that hurts about this theory, this belief, is that you don't know who's NPC versus who's a player one. Because see, the thing is with this construct, there's more than one player one. Like I'm player one, you're player one. Now, when you play a game, right? When you go online and you play a game, let's say you go online and you play like Call of Duty, right? I'm just going to use a Call of Duty for an example. And I haven't played Call of Duty in years, so I don't know if it's the same or if it's different. But let's just take a game, for example. And you log into the game, your character spawns, your avatar spawns, and you have a team that's with you, but they're also real people around the world that's controlling those characters. But then you got players, then you have these characters that want to shoot you, they want to kill you, that are just a part of the construct. They're a part of the game. They're a part of the matrix of the game. They're a part of, the program. You can interact with them because if they shoot you, you die. You have some characters in there that may say, hey, follow me this way. I know where the armory is. And you follow that character and they will lead you to the armory where you can get more weapons, where you can get more ammunition. But that's their purpose in the game. You don't go to that character and say, hey, how do I throw a grenade? Hey, which button do I press to run faster? Hey, how do I get outside of this gaming construct? Because they're just going to come back and be like, I don't know if I understand that question, but I can show you where the armory is. Because they have a program. They have a purpose. They have a set of guidelines, a set of rules that they're going to follow no matter what. And they're incapable of doing anything other than that. It's like a person who reads a book to say they read a book, or a person who reads a book to acquire the knowledge to do something with it. Now, when you have like business books, like you're working back to that corporate setting, you're working that corporate setting, and you have a person that's got a bookshelf of all these books that they've read, and they can go back and they can say, hey, I read this book and this book says X, Y, and Z. They can do all of that because that's a part of their program, to read books, to retain the information in the book and to be able to regurgitate that information in the book, because we're very complex. The non-playable characters that take human form are very interactive. They're very intelligent, but they don't necessarily have intellect. They may even be social. They might be the life of the party. But when you get to talking to them about shadow work, when you get to talking to them about light work, they're like, what are you talking about? I go to church on Sunday. I'm good. When you start talking anything that may fall under the realm of spirituality, the conversation gets different. Some of them even have the spirituality program, but they can only follow what's in the construct of the program. So any idea outside of the construct of the program, they rebuke. They rebuke, as opposed to taking in and say, I gotta read about that. I've never heard about that. Here, tell me more. You know how we did. And when I say we, I'm speaking to other beings with souls, because I can recognize I'm not a non-playable character because I'm making this video. An NPC isn't going to make a video about NPCs, because a non-playable character doesn't know he's a non-playable character. Now, is it true that I could potentially just be, a program that's running? Oh, it's possible. But the program won't create new programming. The programming won't look to advance its own programming. The programming won't seek to get out. They're stuck with a certain set of programs. They're not looking to evolve. They don't have that conscious connection with the higher self. They make decisions and they like, hey, I did it. This is my only option. No. See, people with souls, those who know that there's more than that's what's here. We're not the ones that's worrying about who wins the election, or if they're artificial votes. We recognize that's part of a story. We recognize that those are characters that are playing a role. We recognize that, and we're not necessarily concerned with what other people do, because we're trying to figure us out. We recognize that our sole purpose is to solve the equation of who we are. You got some people that'll be like, my sole purpose is to help others. Very generic answer. And it can be a part of your purpose. But people with souls recognize that I'm here to evolve. I'm here to advance. I'm here to gather knowledge. I'm here to learn as much about me as possible. I'm here to experience. This is a journey. I'm here to experience. I'm here to learn, to develop, to grow, to enhance and evolve. All right. So here's the thing that makes things very tricky, because as player ones, you don't want to think that you ran through the whole game with a computer generated character. You don't want to think that the whole time you were playing the game, you were playing with a character that was not a real person. Because you may be playing a game, whereas, let's say you're playing a football game, right? And you assume the role of the character who has the ball. Like if you're playing a football game and you're on offense and you hike the ball, you play the character of the quarterback while the quarterback has the ball. You don't play the offensive line that's blocking for you, but you've played with that offensive line the whole game, and you're like, man, they're doing a good job of blocking. I got time. Feels like you're working with them to achieve something. When you throw the ball to the running back, the tight end, or the wide receiver, as soon as that avatar touches the ball, you can control that person to try to score that touchdown. You're just the person who has the ball. And that's player one. Player one has the ball. But player one can also play with player two and be on the same team. Hey, player two, I'm going to throw you the ball and you run with it. You see? But there's also an option to sit back and just play the game and control nothing and just watch. You call the play, you watch the team play and execute the play that you called, and you see what happens. Maybe those non-playable characters score a touchdown. Maybe they fool around and lose 5 yards on a sack. You don't know. But what you do know is that when you're player one and you're controlling the quarterback, if that line blocks and you get time to throw a good pass, you're going to throw that good pass. If that line blocks properly and you hand it out to the running back, who then you control, you have a gap to run through to achieve yards, to continue to move forward towards the end zone. That final state, that evolution as you play any video game. And a lot of people with souls have played video games before in the past, whether they still actively play or if they played at one time in their life or not. Whether they actively play or whether they actively played at one point of their lives and they no longer play. They play video games because the video game is the construct of what they're doing, of what life is. It's literally your player one, and you're going to go through these stages. At the end of each stage, you're going to have a final mission to complete. There's going to be a boss at the end of each stage, something that needs to be conquered before you get to the next stage. And the thing is, where we are now, there are a lot of people that are reaching that final boss fight, right? And that final boss fight, by the time you get there, you've achieved all of these different abilities. You may have acquired a certain amount of tools. You may have, a satchel full of different weapons or something, but you've played with this character, you've played with this avatar for years, and you're familiar with it. You get it. You know how to use this thing, right? You know its limits. You know its strengths. You know its weaknesses. You know what you can do and what you can't do. Oh, there's a fire pit. Well, I don't have fireproof boots, so I'm not walking in it. Oh, there's water. My character didn't learn how to swim. Not jumping in this water. I'm gonna go around it. You know that stuff by the time you get there. But the goal is to what? Get to that final stage. Get to that final boss, and to see if everything that you have acquired, whether it's an attribute, a weapon, a skill, whatever, you just want to see if when you get to the end, if you have enough to defeat that final boss. Because if you do, and you defeat that final boss, sorry, but then the game is over. Player one puts the controller down, right? Some people call it death. We get wrapped up into, some people, they died too soon. They didn't do X, Y, and Z. We don't know if that was a character. If that was a person with a soul, they found their final boss early and whooped his ass and was like, hey, I did what I need to do. I'm out. The NPCs will face death because the people with souls have to feel that hurt. That's a part of the experience. Hey, can you overcome the loss of a loved one? Right? People with souls, we're creators. We're back to being employee B with the laptop that can write the programs, right? We're creators. We can write the programs. We can create the programs. We can do as we choose. People with souls, guess what we can do? We can create our parents. Our parents most likely are non-playable characters. We selected, okay, well, this is a good situation to be in to learn what we want to learn, right? So you choose your parents. It's kind of like when you start a video game, you be like, well, where do you want to start? Where do you want to start? You get dropped, you get parachuted somewhere. Where do you want to start? You get a starting point, then you go from there. And yeah, there are different starting points you could have selected. Maybe you go back and play the game again and pick a different starting point to see how things wrap out. But the thing is, the alpha spot, that starting point can be different, but that omega is the same. And the omega is the key. The omega is the final. It's that boss at the end, and no matter where you start, that's where you're going to end. And if you get there and you don't have what you need, you're going to get your ass kicked until you go back and do something else. Ready Player One. Ready Player One was a very good movie. And Ready Player One should be the movie that's the soul's guide to life. Because in that movie, he had to think outside of the box within his avatar to be able to get I think they were keys or something, the three achievements that he had to do in order to get to that place. Whereas at the end, he owned the construct. He owned the oasis, right? How appropriate. But you're going to interact with non-playable characters along the way. People who are going to help you along your journey, people that are going to hinder you along your journey. And the thing is, you can, like I said, you choose your parents. You choose your parents. So when you choose your parents and you come in, your parents are non-playable characters. Unless you choose a parent with a soul, because maybe you've got to the final boss a couple of times and can't beat him, and you're just like, I need some guidance. Good God. But that's something that's when you start the game on an easy setting. But I feel like for the time that we're in right now, the easy and the intermediate has gone away, and we're at that advanced place. Whereas no, there is only you and your higher self. Y'all better work it out. It's only player one and player one's avatar. Player one is actually Player one is actually your higher self, and your avatar is your character that you selected, the skin that you selected. So, you know, in my case, you're looking at my avatar. You're not looking at player one. You're looking at player one's character, right? But that character is going to interact with other characters that I truly believe that there's more non-playable characters in this construct than there are people that have souls, people that actually hear, people that are player ones in their own right, within their own construct, that may come together with you. You know, I think that there's a limited number of player ones. And, you know, through your everyday walk, you're going to notice that nobody thinks like you do. You know, you talk about, you know, evolving, and you talk about, you know, crystals, and you talk about meditating, and you talk about, you know, what if scenarios, and you're trying to evolve and you're trying to be better, and somebody else would be like, you want some wings? Hey, you see the game? Oh, what's going on with the election? Oh, the COVID numbers are rising. Because they're programs following programming. The danger with being in these avatars is that we can fall victim to programming. We're going to run certain programs, but we can fall victim to certain programming. There's certain things that can come and be downloaded to us that we don't necessarily want, right? Like an injury, or like, let's say you had, prime example, let's say something happened to you when you were a kid, right? You had an interaction with some non-playable characters. They did some foul shit, and you had a poor interaction as a kid. Well, as a soul, you moved on for it because you're like, your higher self is like, don't worry about that shit. Keep it moving. But then that wounded child programming comes in, and then you, oh my God, I miss my daddy, or oh, I can't believe my uncle did this, or oh my goodness, if such and such was still here. You fall into that, right? Just all of a sudden, and you're trying to figure out, where the hell did that even come from? It's programming. But the thing about programming is that once you ask the question, where the hell did that come from? You can rebuke it, and you can say, it's programming. Back to the script. The relationships, some of the relationships that people have had throughout the years, guess what? Well, with non-playable characters. That's why when you try to evolve, that's why people get left behind. That's why you don't see people who are, you know, trying to evolve in these long-lasting relationships unless two souls have connected. Thus the term soulmate. Because a soul isn't going to find a soulmate in a non-playable character. They're going to find somebody that, you know what, that they're a pretty good person. I enjoy being around them. But when it comes down to their relationship with higher self, that non-playable character is going to be like, oh, he's in there meditating with his rocks. Don't pay him no mind. Everything else about it is going to be spot on. It's going to be great. But you're not going to be able to necessarily share your thoughts, your views, your actions that you're doing to evolve with that person. But they're there um, for enjoyment. They're there to have a good time with, to have other conversations with, because see, the thing is, it doesn't always have to be about connecting with higher self and evolving. There's times where, yeah, you want to go out and get some food. You want to go out and watch a show. You want to have a movie. You want to have some fun. And non-playable characters are good for that because that's what they're programmed for. So yeah, but you connect with another soul and you get together and you start chopping up things, and your higher selves start talking offline. And what happens? The game goes on pause and the higher selves get to talking. And next thing you know, it's 5 hours later and nobody was thirsty. Nobody was hungry. Nobody did anything other than just communicate, share, and evolve. That's when you know you're talking to a soul. Non-playable characters can carry that level of conversation and make player ones forget, about the time and all of that nature. However, player one isn't going to walk away feeling enlightened. Player one is just going to be like, oh, that was a good time. That was a good time. That was a good time. The danger with being player one and interacting with the NPCs is that, and this is something that I've wrestled with, but it's true. You can fall in love with an NPC. And when you fall in love with an NPC, because your avatars are made of the same technology, you can mate with an NPC and you can have a child with an NPC. Your child may be an NPC. I feel like that it's rare that a being with a soul has offspring that has a soul. I find that to be rare. And the reason why I said that is because I've encountered beings with souls, and when they talk about their parents, the first thing they talk about is, yeah, my mom, my dad, they don't want to hear this. They have a certain religious belief that they stick with, and that's what they stick with. They're not going outside of it. They don't want to hear what I'm doing. They don't, they think I'm doing pagan rituals. They think that I'm a atheist. They put labels on those children. I think, and you know what? I don't think this. I believe it to the point that I almost know it because it came from higher self last night. Souls come through to non-playable characters to find their own way. Because if a soul came through another soul, there would be a certain level of programming that would be given that wouldn't allow that soul to journey on its own. I believe that if a soul has got to the final boss too many times and lost and had to restart the game too many times, that then there's an option. Hey, we're going to put you with this person, as a parent. Or you're going to meet this person along. Like we're going to run into other player ones along the way that have finished the game, that are just coming back through to play the game because that's their job. It's their job to facilitate. Hey, you're stuck. Hey, you're stuck here. Go over there, shoot an arrow in the sky and watch it fall down, and bam, it's a fire arrow. Pardon me. But your parents most likely are non-playable characters. You're most likely going to fall in love with a non-playable character. Your child may be a non-playable character. Well, the person on the other end watching this video, because I'm making this video with one particular person in mind, but others who may see this video may start asking, well, am I an NPC? Or they're going to be like, this is bullshit, and cut it off. somebody with a soul is going to ask the question, am I an NPC? Well, hell no, because I'm trying to evolve. Dang. The NPC is going to be like, how is he talking about? He's an idiot. Non-playable characters, everybody has a soul. Even my dog has a soul, which, yeah, certain animals do. But certain animals don't. You ever played a video game whereas you have playable characters that are when you select your avatar, you can select a person or you can select to be an animal or being. Oh, I'm a bear. Like you play Tekken, right? You play Tekken, and one person is running around as a man, and then there's another person that's playing the character of a bear, but he's a playable character. Don't underestimate what avatar can be selected by a soul, because this construct is the most beautifully created game ever. This is incredible. This construct is amazing. But I'm ready to get the hell out of here. I'm ready to get to the final boss and go. And the thing is, the final boss may be a non-playable character that's been amped up, that's been souped up, that has, all of the abilities that you've acquired along the way and that knows how to use them and use them against you. Hell, the final boss could be conquering, an abusive relationship. Could be, your final boss could be that child that you've raised, and making sure that that non-playable character gets to a place that, raising a child and having that child go into adulthood and starting a family and just a successful transition. You don't know what the final boss is until you actually defeated it. And surely after you defeat that final boss, the game ends. And if you're still here within the construct, then guess what? You haven't defeated the final boss. Not saying you haven't seen the final boss, because that final boss could be that narcissist that you need to just detach from. That final boss could be where you choose yourself first all the time. You don't know what the final boss is because you don't know what the mission is. That final boss may take the form of a non-playable character or an event that needs to happen. But it's more so the mission. The mission. You know that you're in this game. You know that there's a final boss, but why do you want to beat him? Why? Why don't I just run through the construct and just get all these trophies and all of this and all of that and just play the game? Some people, like Grand Theft Auto, some people would just play the game just to what? Steal cars, do the side missions, and keep it pushing. And they just keep playing the game. They just stay in the construct. They just keep playing the game. Keep playing the game. They're not trying to get to the end of the game. They're not trying to finish it because they're having too much fun with the game. That's possible. That's very possible. Playable characters with souls. Hey, I'm just having fun. Just having fun. That could be their sole purpose, just to run through here and have fun. But then at some point, they're going to say, you know what? I'm curious about the end of the game. Then they're going to do it. But what they may do is, you know what? I'm going to restart and pick another avatar and, do something different. And I'm going to go beat this thing. And who's to say you haven't beat it already and you're just back having fun? You got souls that are here that are just having fun. They put themselves in a position where they can travel and they can do, they can see different parts of the world. And they, I've always, you got people that be like, I've always wanted to go there. And they're back because they wanted to go there. They wanted to see that part of the construct. They see that part of the construct, and then it's oh God, you heard what happened to Teresa? She got back from vacation and she was sick. And yeah, she's no longer with us. Mission accomplished. She came back into the game to see the Himalayas. She saw the Himalayas, and then guess what? I'm out. But you got to acquire certain things to be able to get there. You got to, get a job, buy a plane ticket. If you're going to hike it, then you have to train, right? But there's that thing. There's that, man, I've always wanted to do that. Every soul has that, I've always wanted to do that. Non-playable characters have that, oh, wouldn't it be cool if souls would be like, I've always wanted to do that. Can a non-playable character say that? Yeah, they can. They can. But it's more of a, oh, that looks cool. As opposed to, I have something drawing me there. And the thing is, a non-playable character can be a distraction. You can think you're in love with a non-playable character and spend all this time with this non-playable character and, have kids, have more non-playable characters and fill the realm up with non-playable characters. Because reproduction is kind of that. That's why there's the jump-in scenario, right? Because check this out. A soul can't jump into a body that's already occupied by a soul, but a soul can jump into a non-playable character. It's like joining a game late and you're like, okay, well, who's in the game? Oh, well, this character's here. I'm going to assume that character. Nobody's playing with that character. Then all of a sudden they start moving different. Then that person says, oh, this character sucks. I'm jumping out. Then they go right back to being who they were. They go back to being the NPC that they were. And the soul that could have jumped into that non-playable character could have been a dickhead soul. A soul that's just, oh, I just want to see what the game is like. Oh, I ain't about this shit. I'm out. Some souls are here on contract. Some souls are test driving the car before they do it. And they jump into non-playable characters and it mucks up the journey for other souls. Because you're like, oh, such and such acting funny today. Oh, what just happened? That was out of character. A soul might jump in and be a loving soul, and then all of a sudden, this person done baked cookies and got you feeling great. And then next thing you know, you want Wendy's? I thought you were baking. I thought you started baking. I don't know what got into me. And I baked something? They don't really remember what happened because it wasn't them. What can happen is that, a soul can be in a body. A player can be in a body. And then I do believe that there's an option for people to switch. Two souls can switch. Or a soul can just be like, you know what? I'm gonna take a time out. I'm gonna take a time out. I'm gonna let my character run and do something while I go get something to eat and come back and see what my avatar did. And you come back and you're like, well, shit, he wrecked the car. Or you come back and be like, I don't remember getting this gun. Because you went on autopilot. Souls can go on autopilot from time to time. And we go on autopilot in the weirdest moments. We go on autopilot at the moment of, so like you're driving and you're driving to somewhere that you know where you're going, right? You just drive there. You don't think about it. You just drive there. You may cut on some music. You're on autopilot. We have moments in life where we kind of just go on autopilot because we truly just need to regroup. We need to do something different. You follow somebody else's lead. Oh, let's go here. Let's go there. And when you follow the lead of a non-playable character, you end up in places like, well, why am I here? How did I get here? When you come back, what is this? Welcome to non-playable character land. But you come back in. You jump out. You come back in. Because maybe you got hit with that some of that wounded child programming. You got hit with some of that wounded child programming. And it comes back, and your daddy issues, your mama issues, your crazy uncle, or your that weird aunt. You remember something and you're just like, well, shit, what happened there? And you get stuck, right? So then you jump out. You go on autopilot for a little bit. You just sit in front of the TV and watch something mindless for a little bit. You go on autopilot while player one is just kind of like, shit, what do I do with this? You go for a long drive. And you just, like I said, you put on some music or you don't put on anything. You're not connecting with higher self because you just allowing your mind to be blank. Or what you're doing is you're thinking about a part of the programming. You're stuck in, well, why did such and such do this? Oh, you can't function. Your avatar starts feeling ill. You know? But then because you have a soul, you snap back to reality. Whoops, there goes gravity. And the thing is, you can't allow NPCs to impact or stop your evolution. It has to be evolution by any means necessary. And once you recognize an NPC, it's not that you treat them any different. No, you don't do that. No. Because they're here to help you evolve, whether they're hurting you or loving on you. They're here to help you evolve. Show them gratitude. Show them appreciation. Don't dog them. Because when you jack up a non-playable character, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go and jack up somebody else. And then it becomes a trend. It becomes a trend of, it's like you ever played a game whereas, there's a virus, right? Great analogy here. There's a virus, right? And one character gets infected, like Resident Evil. You got the T virus running around and you got zombies running around and zombies are biting people. Next thing you know, the person that you were having brunch with becomes a zombie and now they want to kill you. Oh, snap. Wesker's the tyrant. What just happened? Right? Because he got infected. And what the one, like, can Mitsu get sick and all that stuff? Yeah, but the most infectious thing is hurt. When we start hurting non-playable characters, they're going to hurt other non-playable characters and it's going to impact soul journeys. So we have to treat non-playable characters with love and respect. We have to watch what we do in order to move through this construct properly. It may very well be our job, our duty to hurt a couple of non-playable characters to make the game a little harder. Who knows? Who knows? But with that being said, if you're having a hard time detaching from something, especially a person, evaluate if you're working with a soul or non-playable character. And either way, it doesn't matter in this situation. Toxic is toxic. If there's a way to detach, there's a way to detach. But as a soul, you recognize that you're employee B with the laptop and you can develop and you can create programming. If you want to create a non-playable character that's going to benefit your journey, and let's just say you're in a female avatar and you want to be safe. You want just to be safe during your journey. Create it. Create that safety. Whether that's in a best friend or whether that's in, a husband, whatever, create it. If you're a man and you're like, oh my God, I could do more if I had, somebody, to just listen. If I had a workout buddy, I could get my avatar, in a certain shape so I wouldn't have to spend all this time going to the doctor, and I can read more books and I can evolve. I can get on this journey more. If I had, that I travel all the time for work and I'm meeting these great people. I'm having all these great conversations. I'm evolving through the souls that I'm meeting. You know, I'm getting close to the final boss, but I want to wake up to the same person every day. Sounds like you need to use that laptop and you need to write some code. Because as employee B, guess what? You can write that code and you can have that experience that you're looking for. Like the movie Her, where he was in love with his operating system, right? During that time when everything was great, he was on cloud nine until he realized that operating system was interacting with countless other people because she was a program, right? But the thing is, as long as when he was with that program, he got exactly what he needed to be able to do what he needed to do. The one thing about this construct is that when a non-playable character is created, their programming is going to be the program is going to be run by a bunch of different non-playable characters, right? Unless you write a program that's exclusive to you. It's all in how you write the program. That developer who developed that operating system in Her could have developed it, whereas that operating system is mutually exclusive with its user. Kind of like your Apple ID. For those who have iPhones, I just got an iPhone for my job and I have an Apple ID. That's my Apple ID. Nobody else is going to have that. Or people who don't have it. You got a Gmail account, an email account. That's your email account. If you don't give anybody the password to it, you're the only one that can access it unless you get hacked. Because non-playable characters can get hacked. But guess what? So can your avatar. Your soul can't, but your avatar can. And that's why those programs just pop up sometime. Ads just start popping up. Do you remember what your dad did when you were 6? He laughed on. Oh my God, I didn't realize that I was still dealing with that. Because you won't. Till the program popped up. And an ad popped up on your ass. Right? Oh my God, my crazy Aunt Betty. She used to do X, Y, and Z. She used to beat me with the flip-flop. Oh my God. And realized that was a problem until that program was like, let's put this memory here. Did that really happen, or did an ad pop up? It's kind of like when you're on social media and you've been thinking, you've been like, oh my God, I want to marry this person. I want to marry this person. I want to marry this person. But you're the only one that knows it, the only person that thinks it. The next thing you know, you go on IG and you're on Instagram, and then you get an ad for a wifey tapestry. I'm like, well, shit. How did IG know what I was thinking? Because the one thing about this construct, about this realm, is the simple fact that the construct knows the programs. The construct doesn't know how your higher self is operating, but the construct knows how the avatar that's being controlled by player one is operating. Thus, it can put things there. Your brain, your mind is part of your avatar. That's your logic house within your avatar. Your heart, your intuition, your gut is the closest thing you have to your higher self. But you have to align all three to be able to move properly in this avatar. And once you start realizing that, you can recognize, oh shit, wait a minute, that's a program. Let me uninstall this bullshit. Right? And you uninstall it and you like, now I have a memory that's there, but I'm gonna pay that no mind. You don't know if it's real or not. And the thing is, you don't know if your memories are real or not. And it kind of makes it exciting because it's kind of like it's kind of like starting a game. You know, let's say you're starting a game. Let's say you're playing a cool X-Men game. You're playing a Wolverine game, right? Wolverine doesn't remember his past. So a lot of his journey is to remember his past. Well, he doesn't know who's lying to him and who's telling the truth because he's being fed memories as he goes along. You know, Professor X getting Wolverine's head and, oh, Logan, you did X, Y, and Z. And then, Wolverine is like, get out of my head, Chuck. Right? Right? Wolverine, I put that memory there, so it's hiding this memory. It's hiding something that really happened. Or did it? See, that's what we're dealing with. Memories can be injected. Programs can be set off at any given moment that causes your avatar to behave differently. And when I say your avatar to behave differently, that can be what you see, what you smell, and unfortunately, what you speak. You come back and you be like, why did I say that? Souls will ask themselves that question. Why did I say that? Oh my God, what made me do that? It's like being in love with somebody and you love that person and you want to be with them, you trust them, you love them, you're hugging them. They leave their phone out on the counter, and then what happens? The girl grabs the boyfriend's phone and goes through the phone. And she's like, why the hell did I do that? The program got you. Then the boyfriend comes back, did you go through my shit? And the girl's like, yeah, I did. I don't know why though. Because I love you and I trust you. I don't know why. And then what? The relationship's jacked up. Right? Because that program kicked in. And the thing is, you can recognize that program before you do it. It's kind of like going back to the situation of being in love. You can be in love with someone and you can see somebody else and be like, oh, cool. And you have a flirty conversation, you exchange numbers, and you're like, why did I even do that? Because I love such and such. Could even have some conversations. Oh my God. Start having questions. Oh, what would it be like to be with that person? It's the program. It's the goddamn program. It's the goddamn program. It's the goddamn program. For those with souls, it's the programming. Oh, for non-playable characters, it's the program. Because that's what they're supposed to do. For souls, it's programming that's trying to make its way into the program you wrote. So in other words, it's a goddamn virus. Get your virus protection game up. Souls, get your virus protection game up. Get your virus protection game up. Recognize which thoughts are yours coming from your higher self versus which thoughts are coming from the construct. Once you figure that out, you got more of a straight line to the final boss. Because let me tell you something about the final boss. The final boss will manipulate your thoughts, will manipulate the people around you, will do everything it can to destroy you before you even get to it. Conquer everything. So when you get to that final boss, you're equipped and you're ready. Because the last thing you want to do is fight the final boss and not be ready, because it's going to set you back. And I speak from experience because I feel like I've faced my final boss. And I felt like I got my ass kicked. But I see what he did. It's like fighting the final boss and then you say, wait a minute, there's a pattern. Every boss has a pattern. But the thing is, the final boss always has a trick up his sleeve. Like in the old Nintendo game, Ninja Gaiden, however it's said. You get to the last boss and you fight the man and you're like, oh yeah, I won. Then he comes back and what was he, a dog or a bird? He had 3 forms. 3. But the first time after you beat the man and then the second form came out and you got your ass kicked, you was like, okay, I didn't expect that. But then, as a soul, you recognize if there's a second form, there's a good chance there's a third or a fourth. When I get to him the next time, I'm going to have as many, fire stars as I can. I'm going to have a couple of talismans, which in that game would reincarnate your character with full life. So you could literally die and come and respawn immediately. Meaning you can get your ass kicked and get back up and be the same person. Armor up, get your weapons, get your talismans, learn the pattern of the boss that you're currently facing. Don't focus on the final boss. Deal with the boss that you're facing. Beat that boss's ass. And then when you get to that final boss, whether it's the first time or it's the fifth time, you can look that mug in the face and be like, I might not know everything you're going to do, but I've seen enough to know to expect the unexpected and to know that going into this fight, I don't have all the answers. But what I do have is a unique set of tools that have properly equipped me for this challenge. Hunger. Let's fight. Let's duel. Let's get it. So that's my 2 cents on souls and non-playable characters. A download I got yesterday after I pulled my head out of my ass. Because as a soul, as a player one, I had some programming that hit me that made me do some out of character things that have since been purged. Guess who's back? And guess who's newly evolved with a new set of tools? It's about to get dangerous. Connect with your higher self, souls, NPCs. I appreciate you, NPCs. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate your purpose. Toxic is toxic. And a part of the soul journey is to remove the toxicity and to just be light. Light being used in 2 different ways. The light that shines in the darkness and being light as a feather. You want to beat the final boss? Become light.